All set? All righty, I hereby call the City Council meeting for April 11th to order. If everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember King will be leading tonight.
Right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Roll call, Linda.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Mercado.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Andresic.
Here.
And Mayor Ciro.
Here. Thank you very much. Do we have any reordering of the agenda tonight?
No, ma'am.
All righty. We are moving on to public comments. This is the audience's chance to speak on any subject they want, any complaints, compliments, anything that they feel like. You've got 3 minutes to give us a piece of your mind. Our first speaker is Caroline Abbott.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you and for being willing to consider this perspective. Regardless of whether you support President Trump, with the Mueller-Russia investigation completed, everyone should be very worried about how power and authority were abused for a political advantage against an opponent. The report by the Attorney General states, in completing his investigation, he employed 19 lawyers who were assisted by a team of approximately 40 FBI agents, intelligence analysts, forensic accountants, and other professional staff. The special counsel issued more than 2,800 requests to appear in court, executed nearly 500 search warrants, obtained more than 230 orders for communication records, made 13 requests to foreign governments for evidence, and interviewed approximately 500 witnesses. This was an extremely large-scale investigation. It was unprecedented. It went on for almost 2 years, with the final cost to be about $30 million. It consumed huge amounts of public attention while distracting the president from other very consequential issues of national importance. It was stressful and frustrating for the entire country. The Attorney General's report states, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government. And in addition to no evidence of any plan with Russia, the Attorney General's report also says the special counsel did not find that the Trump campaign or anyone associated with it conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in these efforts, despite multiple offers from Russian-affiliated individuals to assist the Trump campaign. From the beginning, President Trump clearly denied that he had ever plotted with Russia. And yet, for almost 2 years, he was harassed by a wrongful investigation based on false evidence created by political opponents and believed by congressional Democrats and even some Republicans, who rushed to judgment and failed in their leadership duty to their voters. Being a voting citizen is a big responsibility. Anyone who votes has a duty to be certain that the candidates for whom they vote are thoughtful, fair, willing to listen to different opinions, and carefully analyze all parts of every issue. Thank you, and may everyone listening have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brent Fletcher.
Good evening. How you doing? Thanks for having me and let me speak. My name is Brent Fletcher. I'm a local resident here. I'm here tonight to ask the city of Buellton to reconsider the industrial M zone stipulation that does not allow outdoor commercial recreation. The reason I'm requesting this is that I would like to start a new business venture and hopefully gain your support. This business is a new kind of recreational business that originated in Canada, only picked up in the U.S. around 3 years ago. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but it's called axe throwing. Axe throwing is growing across the nation at a very rapid pace. The nearest axe throwing facilities to our valley are North Hollywood and far as north of San Francisco. We feel that Figueroa Mountain Brewing Company in Buellton, in their outdoor beer garden area, will be the best place to test market our self-contained axe throwing trailer with their established clientele, demographic, and events. After speaking with Andrea Kiefer, the planning director of the city of Buellton, we were told that this location is in the industrial M zone and would not allow this type of business at that location. I feel this business would be great for the community as a social, competitive league sport in a familiar hometown environment, as well as creating tourist recreation. Statistics show that this can be a multi-million-dollar business that would create local jobs and substantial tax revenue for the city of Buellton. The facility would consist of a full containment cage trailer with 2 target deck, separate throwing lanes, and the size being 22 long, 10 feet high by 8.5 wide. It will be equipped with trained axe throwing coaches and throwing demonstrations. The business will follow all safety rules and regulations of the World Axe Throwing League. Yes, there actually is a league. To ensure customers' welfare at the times, along with signed waivers and proper insurance coverage. If we receive this opportunity to test market this business, our future plans would be to open a 5,000 square foot indoor throwing facility in Buellton's industrial area. I want to thank you for your consideration. I have other information if anybody's interested in following up, if you want to educate yourself on axe throwing.
I'm going to look that one up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
We were going to put a bowling alley down there. Was that part of the zoning?
That was part of a mixed-use project, I believe, and that went through the discretionary process as part of a mixed-use project.
So the discretion would be whether we voted to change the rules, or we would vote to change the
Zoning.
Zoning.
And actually, if I make one request, it would be minimal. See, what I'd like to do here is I think the low entry for this business, the test market with the demographic through the valley, would be, I could even accept a temporary waiver for that setup, and we could test market there with, at Fig Mountain, and move on to, like you said, a place that is zoned properly for what we asked about earlier. So it'd be something maybe to waive the M zoning for that industrial space area, and even 6 months to a year, I don't know.
Can't do any waivers, that's not allowed per the code. You have to do complete zone change, so that would go through the planning commission and the city council to change.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Could I leave this information with you guys?
Would you?
I have 5 copies for.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have one other speaker. If anybody else wants to get their yellow slip in, now's your chance. Otherwise, thank you very much for speaking, and we'll move on to Shelby Sim.
Mayor Sierra, Council. Shelby Sim, Executive Director. No, I'm not. I am President and CEO of Visit the Santinas Valley.
And a resident.
And President, 2 of those things. Actually, I thought I was presenting to you guys tonight with a PowerPoint. I guess that's not going to happen. And so I was going to give you a little history on Visit SYV and kind of talk about how, how last year went and a few things that we have coming out this year. But I would not be able to do that in 3 minutes' time. So again, I'd like to thank you for letting us operate in your beautiful city. We had a great year last year. You do have our annual report, and I think I'll just be here for questions. And then if you'd like to schedule another time for me to come back and do a PowerPoint, I'd be more than happy to do that.
That sounds good. Any questions, gentlemen? Righty. Your year-end report was very impressive.
Thank you.
You've certainly hit a lot of places, done a lot of marketing, and supported a lot of local events. Thank
Terrific.
you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shelby.
Mhm.
Alrighty, I don't have any other speaker slips, so seeing none coming across, we will move on to the consent calendar. We have 4 items. We have the minutes of March 28, 2019 City Council meeting, list of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2018-19, resolution number 19-08, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, approving a 3.5 cost of living adjustment, COLA, for all regular full-time employees effective July 1st, 2019. And as Mr. Sim alluded, our annual report for July 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018 from Visit Sandy Ynez Valley, Visit SYV.
Move for approval. Second.
Okay, Linda?
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andriesik.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye, thank you. Now tonight I get to do one of the things I truly enjoy doing. We have one presentation tonight. This is our National Donate Life Month, and Mr. Scott Burns is here to receive a proclamation. If I can get you to come up.
Slowly.
Slowly, take your time. I'll come to you. We'll read this to you. I don't know if you want to face the audience.
As long as my wife gets a picture, everything else is fine.
That's important. That's important. Okay.
Well, that's fine. I like to get the city of
Okay.
Buellton
No,
seal.
this should take less than 20 minutes.
We have a lot of whereases and
Yeah,
wherefores, so
I'm setting
whereas, go
You
ahead.
can wing it.
No, this is all really important. Whereas organ, tissue, marrow, and blood donation are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need, and more than 114,000 individuals nationwide and more than 21,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list. And on average, 20 people die each day while waiting to the shortage of donated organs. Whereas more than 600,000 units of blood per year are needed to meet the need in California, and at any given time, 6,000 patients are in need of volunteer marrow donors. Whereas a single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of more than 75 others, and a single blood donation can help 3 people in need. Whereas millions of lives each year are saved and healed by donors of organs, tissues, marrow, and blood, and the spirit of giving and decision to donate are not restricted by age or medical condition. Whereas over 14 million Californians have signed up with the state-authorized Donate Life California Donor Registry to ensure their wishes to be organ, eye, and tissue donors are honored. And whereas California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Donor Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's licenses or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now therefore I, Holly Sierra, Mayor of the City of Buellton, hereby recognize and proclaim April 2019 as National Donate Life Month in the City of Buellton. And in doing so, encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up, I blew this when I practiced, or by signing up at www.donatelifecalifornia.org or www.donevidacalifornia.org.
Very good.
I truly want to thank you. I'll give this,
We'll
we'll do this for a picture,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to hand it to her.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, beautifully framed. Thank
I'll do a quick and dirty presentation. My name is Scott Burns. Everyone can notice there's something wrong with my knee, but that's a secondary. That's a re-tearing an ACL, which is fixable. I have a transplanted kidney. About 5 years ago, I was on a sailboat and the Harbor Patrol came by. I was at Santa Cruz Island saying, "Mr. Burns, we have a kidney for you." So they really didn't have a kidney, but they knew where one was. I was at Cedar Sinai that evening. The next morning I got a new kidney. A lady who had a pink dot on her driver's license, Vivian Boutel, had died suddenly. Her family saw she had a pink dot and wanted to donate her organs. So I've gotten to know her family. I've got a niece and a nephew by transplant. I've gotten to know her mom. This proclamation will go with other proclamations from Santa Barbara, Ventura, Los Angeles County for a run walk we have every year, and also in Orange County. And it'll be next to our, what we're going to call a memory garden, where we have a lot of people that, for those people that have died and to remember it. It really does help the grieving process. Without being too long-winded. Do remember to check the pink dot on your driver's license. About 96% of the people that register do it at the DMV. So from one perspective, the DMV people are my hero, because of them, I'm alive, and because they make sure people know how to drive, people don't get in accidents as much. Anyway, Scott Burns, thank you very much. I appreciate it. See you guys like once a year.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
We're out of here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Yeah. All righty. Okay. Good night, Caroline. Public hearings tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Council member comments, items. We'll start down at John's end. Councilmember Sanchez, any comments or items for you?
No, I continued a little work with the street lighting with the solar lights, and put a nice light at Shadow Mountain Drive. We put a double light there, so that intersection's lit now too. So the four of the intersections that I think were the darkest are lit now. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Andrasik, any comments slash items?
It goes along with what John has done, and that's the wonderful part of volunteering. No one asked him to do it. He's done it on his own. He's not asking us for money. We're creating safety on our avenue. In the last couple of weeks, I've been out 2 different nights. There is bright light there. At least you can see what they've got. And
There's a big difference.
I think if we just increase the whatever the frames are, the cells, the photo cells, to create more light, it's a great backup. We haven't spent a penny on utilities, have we? Yeah. That's kind of nice. So I thank John for that, and Randy for offering Arnston, Randy from his company does these sort of things, but he didn't have to come and give away what he's given away, and I appreciate it. We should compliment him.
Do we
for
want to look at Central Avenue and Industrial Way, or?
Well, I think we already caught a little heat from PG&E. We're messing with the poles and stuff. We at least own the whole island there, so we can move over 3 feet and not get in their way. But I think we would probably be bucking up against the utility company to try to enter that. That's tight on Central anyway, but it's a
Central
great
has no
idea.
wiring. Yeah, there is no lights.
Right. The street lights are sadly missing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember King? Any comments slash items?
no, ma'am, I'm good.
None for you? I just had a couple. I was lucky enough to be a moderator last night, Santa Ynez High School. The Santa Ynez Youth Coalition, People Helping People in Santa Barbara County, put on a town hall. Really interesting. They had speakers on the drug and alcohol problem in the valley, mostly with 9th and 11th graders. And it's interesting how it compared with the county statistics versus the our high school. Anyway, I was honored to be the moderator. I was with Dominic King, our librarian, this morning at the Buellton Rotary to thank them. They gave a $350 check to the Friends of the Library to help fund the summer reading program, and we wanted to thank them. I'd like to bring back, I don't know the right approach for it. I had spoken to Eileen Lowe at Caltrans about partnering with Caltrans for safety calming measures on 246. She said to have our engineers draw up safety calming plans and to sit down with them. We actually do have plans from 2004 that were given to me by Jeff Edwards, and I'm just kind of looking for an okay from you guys to just go ahead and sit down, our engineers, their engineers, and just see what we can get done. Is that okay? Just
Or we can hire another motor cop.
just to let you guys know, well, I was told that our motorcycle officer is really the one person who is slowing traffic down on 246, and how much our residents really appreciate it, because these darn Lompoc people, they just fly through town. Anyway, and then the only other one is...
Excuse me, because Rose, there was something outside, but let her know that the consensus is to work on the traffic improvements on 246, so we
Yeah.
can start doing that.
Caltrans said if our engineers sit down with their engineers, and since I've had this 8-year relationship with Caltrans, I'd really like to sit in on it, just to see what we can get done. And then the other one, I'm sure it's going to be in your mayor's or in your city manager's notes, but our Easter extravaganza is on the 20th. You can repeat it too.
Okay.
10 o'clock, Riverview Park. It is my absolute favorite city event. I mean, it lasts about 10 minutes, which is wonderful, not a long day. And you see, I mean, they have one-year-old kids running around for Easter eggs, dressed in their Easter best, and it is the best event that Buellton and Solvang put on together. So the 20th, if you have no plans, 10 o'clock, you got to be there sharp, because by 10:15 it's over. Okay, moving on. Written communications.
No, ma'am.
Committee reports. None. Mine was canceled too. Boy, we're getting right on to the main event then. We move on to business items. Business item number 6 is fiscal year 2019-20 and 2020-21 requests for funding from our nonprofit agencies. Chanel?
Madam Mayor, City Council members, as part of our budget process, City Council allocates nonprofit funding. In the past years, we have allocated a total of $88,638, including the senior center, but at the last council meeting, it was decided that the senior center would be its own budget line item, which leaves $25,000 funding available for the 6 agencies that have applied for funding for the fiscal year 19-20, 2020-21. The total of those 6 agencies is $63,000, which again excludes the senior center. There is enough revenue growth in the general fund if council wants to increase the $25,000, but again, that's to your discretion. Each of the nonprofits requesting funding are here in the audience, and they'll have 3-minute presentation to City Council, and then will be available for questions.
Okay, thank you. First of all, any questions for Chanel before we bring up our nonprofits?
You said we have money to up the, to raise the fund, or is that,
Yes, that's correct.
and what would the number be?
I calculated it could be up to $30,000 if we kind of keep the same percentage as the last fiscal year. Percentage of revenue, which I calculated at 1.15%.
Is anybody interested in raising them to 30,000? We have to do more math, but, because I felt bad for taking a lot of the, I didn't realize, not that I wouldn't have done it, but for the senior center, took a lot of the money that would have gone to the other organizations, and I was just thinking it'd be better if we had a little more money to kick in.
I would be willing to go to 30.
Yeah, if that's what our allowable is, it'd be.
No?
Anybody? Okay.
You want consensus, or you want a motion?
Well, there probably would need to be a motion. Yeah. So you want to make the motion?
I'd like to make the motion to raise the fund from 25,000 to 30,000.
I will second that.
Tonight.
Okay, Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Mayor Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
Excellent. All righty. Okay, got to do some quick recalculations. We'll get our speakers up here while you're playing with money and listening. Let's see. We're going to start with People Helping People. Dean Peleus.
Good evening. evening, Dean Palias. I'm the Chief Executive at San Ynez Valley People Helping People and live at 320 Dogwood Drive, Buellton, California. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members, for giving People Helping People another opportunity to ask for funds. We appreciate that over probably the past, I'm going to say, 24 years, because that's how long I've been with People Helping People. The council has seen fit to fund our basic needs services at PHP, and I'll try and keep it way under 3 minutes. Those funds get used to help the most vulnerable in Buellton. Those are seniors, those are children, those are families who face homelessness, who face food insecurity, whose children need mentoring at the high school, who need counseling at Hanada School. That's how your funds are spent. And I want to say the most important thing is that we leverage those funds. If you looked at our analysis in our proposal, 23 times. You gave us a little less than $10,000, and we produced $235,000 worth of services for, I'm going to say, Buellton zip code residents. So there might be a few county residents, but not many. That's a lot of leverage. And what's most important is the city of Solvang and the county also look at what this city does as you look at what Solvang does, and we're able to leverage that significantly. We get $50,000 in 2 different grants from the county, and last year we got $17,000 from the city of Solvang. So your funds are quite critical to our programs and quite critical to our ability to do the leveraging. And again, I thank you for the time. I thank you for the support that you've given us. And it's been a long time since I've seen you.
A long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The food bank, is that Juanita?
Sunita.
Sunita. I am so sorry.
Very close.
I am so sorry, Sunita.
No worries. It happens.
Good.
No worries.
Good evening. My name is Sunita Jetmalani, and I'm the Director of Grants at Food Bank of Santa Barbara County. And I would like to thank you for this opportunity to present. For the past 36 years, Food Bank has served the nutritional needs of thousands of low-income children, seniors, and families by distributing nutritious foods and fresh produce to our 2 warehouses in Santa Maria and Santa Barbara, and in collaboration with 300 partners networked throughout Santa Barbara County. Last year, we distributed 10 million pounds of food countywide, of which 4 million pounds was fresh produce. In the city of Buellton, we distributed over 140,000 pounds of food, and 73% of all this food distributed, or 103,000 pounds of food, was fresh produce. To distribute food in Buellton, we collaborate with local agencies such as the Buellton Senior Center, Buellton Boys and Girls Club, and through operating our mobile farmers market in Buellton. Food Bank is respectfully requesting a grant to purchase nutritious foods and fresh produce that we will distribute to food insecure Buellton residents free of cost. We expect 70% of all our clients that we serve will be seniors, 60 years or older. They will all receive high-protein food products and fresh fruits and vegetables, which many of them cannot afford to buy on limited incomes. Additionally, we expect 69% of all our clients that we serve are going to be females, and 33% of clients are going to be female heads of households. Clients will additionally benefit through receiving nutrition education, which emphasizes choosing healthy foods over cheap fast foods to maintain good health in the long term. Food Bank offers a reliable source of variety of nutritious foods and fresh produce to low-income children and families in Buellton. Food Bank not only serves client needs during the regular year-round, but also during times of disasters and emergencies, such as the federal government shutdown. These activities do add to our budget expenses. We are so grateful for your past support, which has helped us to serve thousands of residents in Buellton. We sincerely hope you will consider partnering with us again in our mission to end hunger and transform the health of City of Buellton residents through good nutrition. Thank you so very much for your kind attention, and you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. Amy Derryberry?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I'm Amy Derryberry, representing Veggie Rescue, and for those council members who may not be familiar with us, we collect excess produce from farms and farmers markets and backyards, and deliver to organizations feeding people. We've been delivering to the Buellton Senior Center now for 7 years, and the Buellton City Council has deemed us a worthy recipient of funding, and I'm standing in front of you to request that you do that again. For the last 2 years, 30% of Veggie Rescue's produce has been delivered to the Buellton Senior Center. And we are requesting 5% of our budget for you to support us in that effort. One of the programs that we added in late 2017 and are continuing to this day is collecting prepared food from the Shumash Casino and delivering it only to the Buellton Senior Center. And since the inception of that program, we've delivered over 7,500 pounds of prepared food to the Buellton Senior Center, which has really helped them to expand their food program to the seniors here in the city of Buellton. The fresh produce that we deliver is utilized not only in the kitchen at the Buellton Senior Center, but also in a cooler that Veggie Rescue provides that's in their outdoor patio area and is accessible to any community member. So I hope that you will consider once again supporting our efforts to feed your residents here in the city of Buellton. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. All righty. I've got Sue Isaguer, Marguerite Tibbin, and Kathy Fayram.
Madam Mayor and Councilman, thank you. My name is Sue Isaguer. I'm the founder and executive director of Nature Track. Rather than tell you all about Nature Track, which you would have read about in the information provided, I've asked two people to come and speak on behalf of Nature Track who have actually experienced Nature Track firsthand. The one thing that I will say is that we do collaborate with the Buellton Rec organization and provide an after-school program at the San Ynez Botanic Garden. Kathy Fayram will speak on behalf of the teachers who have experienced Nature Track and the students, and Marguerite Tibbin will speak on behalf of the volunteers in the community of Buellton that participate with Nature Track. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I've had the pleasure of working at the Buellton Union School District for the last 32 years, and I'd like to say that Nature Track has greatly benefited our Buellton students by providing field trips to our kindergarten through 3rd grade students. And at Hanada, the middle school where I teach, our science teachers are incredibly grateful to Nature Track. And I'm just going to read something that Maurice Chavez, our 7th and 8th grade science teacher, wrote about Nature Track. Nature Track is an amazing program that brings content to life by getting my students out of the classroom to experience firsthand what we are learning. My students have been led by amazing docents at Arroyo Burro Beach in Santa Barbara, where they learned and saw how a watershed works. They learned about issues with water in California and how the plethora of plastic trash is impacting the ecosystem. At Midland School, my students learned firsthand about the geology of our incredible valley and what it takes to actually grow the food that we eat. Their knowledge of soil science, plant reproduction, and what happens with the excess food that is produced gains real meaning when connected outside the classroom. I have not found another organization that is as willing to take the time to ensure that what we are currently studying in the classroom is connected to what the students learn in the real world. Thank you, Nature Track and the City of Buellton for providing this amazing resource for our kids and community.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Marguerite Tibbin, and I've been a volunteer for 5 years with Nature Track, and I'll tell you, it is the best thing going. And the benefit it has is for a lot of people are retired and not choosing to work right now, and so the benefits of volunteer for Nature Track is you obviously get exercise. There's a great social connection. I've made many friends. We have the benefit of learning and relearning things that we used to learn about in school. We have a great connection with children, mentoring them. We're keeping an active mind, and reduces the stress and depression that many seniors experience because they're alone. So this is a great social outlet, and we have easy hikes and we have challenging hikes, and the greatest thing is you can volunteer as much as you want or as little as you want, and I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Zaka Preschool, that would be Leanna Watson.
Hi. Hello, my name is Leanna Moore Watson. I grew up here in the Valley, and my husband and I have owned a home in Buellton for 17 years. While I am your neighbor and constituent, I am here mostly speaking as a parent. I'm the mother of Alec, who graduated from high school last year, and of McLean, who is currently a sophomore at the high school. Alec, here's a picture of him, has significant disabilities. He has had 2 open heart surgeries his first year of life and spent that first year in intensive care. As a result, he had significant delays in all areas of development: speech, fine and gross motor, social development, and learning disabilities. But that is only a small part of who he is. He loves sports and is currently serving as a missionary for our church for the next 2 years. McLean, my daughter, has had a more typical course and is currently a member of the National Honor Society, a ballerina, and excels in academics. Both of their lives have been forever changed by their years at Zaka Center Preschool. How is it possible that the same place is the perfect preschool for 2 children with such different needs? The answer speaks to the core of Zaka Preschool's mission. It is a place where children with special needs are fully integrated into the preschool, and their supports and therapies are seamlessly woven into the school day as they prepare for their academic future. It is where children learn as toddlers that all their peers have different strengths and abilities, and where they are taught a foundation of inclusion that carries with them throughout the rest of their schooling. When Alec was at Zaka, he had fine motor therapy with an occupational therapist. For example, she would take Alec and a couple other students to work on an art project. The other children would get extra practice with essential fine motor skills and complete a project, while also modeling for Alec the correct way to hold the scissors and hold and glue small pieces of paper. He was able to get his needed therapy in a way that maximized his success in a collaborative way with his peers. In our little community, we have this treasure of a preschool that has received national awards, is a certified outdoor classroom school, has a school garden, and makes daily homemade meals for the children in addition to academic preparation. Just a couple years ago, the Santa Barbara County Education Office, who owned and ran Zaka Preschool, decided to no longer run the school. You no doubt recall the community response. As a result, Zaka Preschool successfully transitioned to an independent, privately held nonprofit, and I currently serve on the board of directors. As a board member, I was surprised to find that the county only reimburses Zaka approximately 25% of the cost for the special education students that are enrolled. The remaining 75% of the costs are met through grants and funding from those who understand the importance of our mission, like the Buellton City Council. Zaka is widely respected by those who see the impact that preschool years spent here have had on student success in the classroom and on the playground with their peers. The difference in our community, as those with all abilities are fully integrated into our schools and social places, cannot be overstated. Buellton and Santa Ynez Valley families know the exceptional foundation that Zaka provides, and as a result, Zaka currently has a wait list of 113 families. This fall, only approximately 11 of those 113 families will be accepted into Zaka. With your continued support of Zaka, we can continue to provide this exemplary preschool experience to children of all abilities and hopefully continue to expand so more of Buellton's children have the unparalleled foundation of the Zaka Center Preschool. Thank you for your generous consideration of our grant application and for your continued support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got one more nonprofit. COPS is, please step up.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Sierra. Thank you for giving me this time. My name's Sandy Frosto. I'm the Executive Director of COPS, which is the California Organization for Public Safety. I also grew up here in Buellton and went to Hanada School, went to Santa Ynez High School, so I'm a longtime resident of the Valley. But more about COPS. COPS was founded in 2003 and is a California nonprofit 501c3 organization. I'm here tonight on behalf of COPS for consideration of nonprofit grant funding for fiscal year 2019 and 20. COPS was very active from 2003 to 2012 with both the City of Buellton and the City of Solvang. In the past, COPS maintained a youth center for nearly 10 years. The center provided after-school programs including mentorship, boxing, wrestling, martial arts, and fitness training. Another mission of the COPS organization was to provide perishable skills training to law enforcement and public safety officers. COPS hosted numerous training seminars in partnership with Allen Hancock College, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, the cities of Buellton and Solvang, and the Chumash tribe, as well as other entities within the community. The COPS Youth Center closed in 2012 due to lack of funding and increased rent. COPS has been somewhat dormant since then. However, we've continued to host local sporting events in the city of Buellton and have participated in many of the barbecue bonanza events, as well as partnering with the Chumash tribe and the American Powerlifting Federation on several events. COPS has recently reorganized our board and is focused on the public safety aspect of our mission. Due to shrinking budgets and the reallocation of training funds, law enforcement officers receive limited training. The state only requires a minimum of 4 hours of arrest and control training every 2 years as part of its perishable skills program. So COPS has recently received a very generous offer from a local businessman who has donated a space for COPS to construct a facility. This will allow COPS to provide much needed hands-on training to law enforcement officer personnel, not only from the Sheriff's Office, but also the California Highway Patrol and other local agencies. This much needed training will benefit officers and the entire community by increasing the confidence levels of those officers. In situations where it's necessary to use force to effect an arrest, it's always the goal of an officer to use the minimum amount of force. With additional training, officers will have the knowledge and skills to use de-escalation and control techniques and less likely to resort to the use of a taser or a pepper spray or baton. COPS will also support the Culture 36, which is an organization focused on officer wellness through activities like physical fitness training, motivational activities, and suicide prevention. The recently required facility is located in Solvang and will primarily serve the local communities of the Santa Ynez Valley. The facility will be staffed by volunteer law enforcement officers who are post-certified arrest and control instructors. We'll be starting cleanup and construction on the facility in the near future using volunteer labor. Our initial funding will be used for construction materials, safety equipment, and the purchase of supplemental insurance policy. COPS has been very successful in the past at fundraising, and we'll be planning upcoming fundraising events to supplement our budget for ongoing expenses. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.
I think we've got everybody in the public who's spoken, but if there's anybody out there who would like to get up and say anything about any public comment on this, then I'm going to bring it back to council for any questions to our groups. I know we wish we had $63,000. No questions? All righty. City Manager Mark Brzezinski, this is your last chance to play this horrible game.
Freya is taking notes because she's taking over next year. Right. She's not doing the spreadsheet rows.
This is where we have the heartbreaking task of divvying up $30,000 which is less than half of the requested funds. Each council member will break down their $30,000, and Chanel is sitting there with a calculator to give us the averages, is what it all turns out to be for the final numbers. So,
The math.
should we start with
Sure.
John?
What I did was I had split everybody in everything in half because and by doing that, came up with $31,500. So,
That's pretty
that
close.
helped to get to the, well, it helped to get to the 30,000, but then by reducing that by $500, an organization, I have like $9,000 for people helping people, $4,500 for the food bank, $4,000 for Veggie Rescue, $500 for Nature Track, $3,500 for ZACA, and $7,000 for cops.
So was it 4,500 for food banks, sir?
In that order.
45?
No, 45. Wait, 40.
4,000. No?
It was
You're
Veggie
500
Rescue was
off.
4. Food bank was 45.
45, Mark, not 35 on food
Oh,
bank.
45,
Yes,
I'm
thank you,
sorry.
sir.
My fault.
4,500.
Does that equal 30?
No, we're still off
Food
by,
bank was 35 and Veggie Rescue is 45. Is that what you came up with?
I must have did my math wrong.
mine's 28,500.
So you got 1,500 to play with.
1,500.
Well, throw 50 in.
Okay, then I'll give that to
One
ZACA.
coordinator, no.
That would be
That's
Tom.
5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we're going to go to Art. Yeah, you're
Since I'm
next.
next on the board, I had 10,000 for people helping people, 5 for food bank, 4 for Veggie Rescue, 2 for Nature Track, 4 for ZACA, and 5 for cops.
We're good.
Good.
Ready?
Ready.
5, 7, 5.
Wait.
Keep up, Mark. 5, 7, 5, 2, 5, 6.
Right?
Yeah.
Good, Chanel?
Yeah, we're good.
I can add.
Okay. Ed, your turn.
Thank you. I think the emphasis and just my feeling on this, because everyone is valuable and provides a great service, but we only have so much money, and the people that are providing this continue to do it. I remember when Holly started all of the youth things, and then drew into the food bank, so she's just way involved in the community, but I'm focusing on public safety and food for individuals, because we've had such an outreach for that. So there are a couple I've not offered anything for, but I think that we've People Helping People has returned major dividends for the amount of money that we've given, and I'm asking that we do $15,000 for People Helping People this year. I have the food bank at $6,500. The Veggie Rescue I have at $6,000. Then I have $2,000 for cops, because that's public safety, and I think it's a great undertaking, and I appreciate what they're doing with it. And I know we just need to get community events together to let people pour out their donations for that. I think there's $500 left, and I have, if I've done my math right.
Yeah, there's 500 left.
500 left, and I would like Zaka Creek to have that. That's not a food issue, but it's a character building thing, and the parents are all done. You know, I've been over there and walked around when they were closed, what, a week, they were down a week or so last year. And it's a valuable thing for them doing, and I'm sorry it isn't more, but I think that sums up my 30,000.
Okay, and again, it's hard. We got 63,000 in requests, and we've got 30,000 to spend. I think when I go through, you'll see what my priority is, and I apologize to the other nonprofits because everybody does such worthwhile work. Mine is 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, 1,000, 16,000, and 1,000. The Zaca Preschool is the 16. 4,000 for People Helping People, Veggie Rescue, and Food Bank.
Okay. Nature Track.
1,000. 16,000 for Zaca Preschool. 16,000. And 1,000 for cops.
Chanel, is that good?
Yes, that's good.
So,
People Helping People, the average is 8,600. Food Bank, 5,400. Fruit and Veggie Rescue, 4,600. Nature Track, 1,100. Zaca Center Preschool, 6,100. And the average for cops is 4,200.
Ta-da! Does somebody need to take a picture of that?
I will take it.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for all the work you do.
Need the vote, too.
Somebody want to pass the motion to approve our board?
It's just direction.
I'll make the motion to approve as stated, or as listed.
Second. Dave, okay. Linda?
Okay, let me see here. Okay. Councilmember Mercado?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik?
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra?
Aye. And thank you all for everything you do. Honest to goodness, our town wouldn't be the town it was without all these nonprofits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, John.
Did she say 12? Did she say 16,000?
Yep. I wanted them to get their aid. I'm sorry, they don't have the fundraising
Yeah, I know.
capabilities. I'm surprised you did what you did. Really.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. And for being involved.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Good night.
Hi, guys.
You know, pretty simple, huh? Just don't give them what they want and they all leave.
That's right. Except for Eddie.
Hi.
Senator Gillis.
City managers report.
How about item 7?
Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
Ah, trying to get past that one. Item number 7, consideration of reinstating employer contribution to the 457 Deferred Compensation Plan, the DCP, for employees hired after January 1st, 2012. Ms. Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm trying to sum this up for you as best I can and answer any questions you may have. On January 1, 2012, the city stopped contributing 6% to new employees' deferred comp plan due to a downturn in the economy, the Great Recession, as you may remember. Since then, the economy has rallied back, and we'd like to see this benefit reinstated if possible. Deferred compensation was meant to be a replacement for Social Security for all full-time employees, as the city does not contribute to Social Security, never has. This was written in the personnel policy back in BCSD days, and the board members agreed to that and transferred that to the city upon incorporation. So then again, a year later, on January 1, 2013, CalPERS changed their retirement laws and required all new members to pay 6.5% of their retirement contribution into CalPERS. The city cannot change this mandatory employee contribution, which will increase to 7.25 on July 1st, 2019. So within 2 years of 2012, new employees lost 12.5% of benefits, which will increase to 13.25% on July 1, 2019. The unemployment rate in Santa Barbara County is currently 4.8%. That fluctuates pretty much monthly, which means we need to keep benefits competitive in order to attract and retain good employees. And it's also important to have employees that have the same benefit package instead of different packages. The city employee base is not expected to expand, and staff is requesting the 6% DCP contribution be reinstated for employees hired after January 2012, which would go into effect July 1st, 2019. There would be no retroactive contributions made. The annual fiscal impact would be approximately $22,500 for the 6 employees. There is revenue in the upcoming budget to cover this expenditure. And if there's council consensus to reinstate that 6% deferred comp for employees hired after January 2012, staff would bring back the appropriate resolution for approval. We welcome discussion on this item and are available to answer any questions.
Okay, first of all, any questions before we go to public comment?
That'll be no question.
I do. Can this be a employee contribution matching fund for the city?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you asked that because back in the day, this is my prop, these were the personnel rules from BCSD. They're all 5 pages. Now they're 70 pages. And back in the day, deferred comp was in lieu of Social Security. And employees were required to put in 6% of deferred comp, and the city put in 6% as well. That was to be in lieu of Social Security. Somewhere along the line, the requirement that employees put in 6% went away. I don't know when that happened, but I started in 2001 and I was not required to put that in. So it's interesting. I'm not sure who dropped that, why it dropped, but as Councilmember Sanchez can attest, you know, back in the day, he was making probably not a lot of money, was required to put in that 6%. The city put in 6%, you know, and he probably had to have another job, like you had mentioned, to make ends meet. However, fast forward 30 years, 30 some odd years, 6 years, and he's got a bunch of money in there, I would imagine, and it's a significant amount because of that contribution. So, you know, but on the flip side of that, he spent 36 years at the city, so he doesn't have Social Security, or he may, but it's going to be a small amount from the other job that he did. So, right here, as it's highlighted, that was the requirement. Why and when that went away, I don't know. A lot of people do put in to deferred comp. I had Karen run the numbers, and
We don't do any matching as of today.
no, for those new employees, they are getting 0. So they can put in, after they've been here a year, they can put in up to $18,000, because that's or $19,000 this year. That's the requirement. But so they can put in what they want, but the city is not putting in any for those new employees after January 2012. Currently, we have a total number of employees participating is 12. Currently, we have 17 full-time employees at the city, and people putting over at least 6% or over are 6 employees out of that 12, so half.
I think some conversation that was held years back in BCSD in the 80s. There were times when before it was called COLA, they had the cost of living. They would come in and tell us, the actuarials would say, cost of living has gone up 7 or 8%, and we were giving, I remember when we gave a 7% pay raise to stem the tide of their costs of living. And every board member then said, I just want to know if you would be willing to reduce should the cost of living come down. Would you agree to do it? And there never was anyone willing to say, you bet, we want to keep parity. So I think that it probably happened when Community Service District was, we had this many people come to the meetings. I think somewhere along the line that's how it took such a variation. And I've thought that we had a pretty good ratio for the time being, but I think there's nothing like having matching funds. Every company that offers matching funds up to, say, I think it's 3%, many people are very happy they've done it early on. Just start it when you go in, because, and John probably is amazed what the mountain looks like when it started with a pile of
So,
money.
I've got a couple questions. Is that okay? First of all, Social Security, you're saying that employees, that the businesses pay into Social Security for their employees. I thought the employees, that part of my paycheck went to Social Security.
Right. Typically, an employee puts in 6%, and typically the employer puts 6%.
Is that how that works?
For a total of 12.
Okay. And I know that the reason we did this was because there was a recession going on. I know other cities have done it too. I know I was telling Mark yesterday, in the Postal Service, they had civil service, and then 35 years ago, after the post office was in business for I don't know how long, they switched over to a totally different retirement system. So my husband's on one and I'm on another, and basically it was like, this is the way things are changing. It wasn't quite as nice what I had as what he had, but that was the way it was. The other thing was that they, with the Postal Service, with their new federal employee retirement system, they put in like 1 or 2% of the person's salary, and then the employee could put in up to a certain amount that the employer would match, and it went up to 6%. And I know we talked about that, if the city went with the 2%, and then the employee could put matching funds in to a max of 6%, I was told that was something we could not, it would just be too difficult to do.
We looked into that yesterday with the finance department, and they said it would be an accounting nightmare to try to change that, because every time you change the cost of living or a merit increase, all of that would have to be changed and done manually, is what they had said.
It just seemed kind of weird, because the post office has a lot of employees, and they must have a different system. The other cities, do we know if any other cities around our area have gone back from where they've done away with the 6%, that they've gone back to their, it just seems to me that after a period of time, you say right now there are 6 employees who are not receiving the 6%. In 10 years, there might be 10 or 12 employees, and just like the post office, through the years with attrition, sooner or later it's all going to be on the same program.
Right. In other cities, for example, the city of Solvang does not put into DCP, but they do have Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
So we did kind of a survey of what cities do, and so some city, Grover Beach, for instance, they do put into DCP, and they also have Social Security. So they're doing both. Some do one, some do the other. CalPERS, most all cities have CalPERS, so you've got your retirement. But the DCP was to be in lieu of Social Security. So, and I think not having that, it does amount to an inequity for some of the employees that are working at the city to not have one or the other. And that's really the reason we are bringing it back, to give that equity back to the employees. The other thing is we're not looking at growing the employee base in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I don't foresee that happening. We've added one new classification, which was facilities, and we added Parks and Rec, I believe, in 2008. 3 employees there and some part-timers. Don't foresee that going up huge. We have 17 full-time right now. We fully staffed will be at 19. So we keep it pretty small, and you know, the amounts are such that I think that you would have quite a few putting into the deferred comp if they were given the 6% back. Total employees contributed right now is 9.
And this is also recruitment tool for the city, another benefit that we can provide since we have to compete with the other cities. So it's something that other cities may not provide for employees, so it's something we can offer them for their future.
We are still planning on going back, though. I mean, when you did the salary comparison, and we've changed the water, wastewater salaries, I assume that over the next few months you'll be coming back with other departments and changing their salaries to make them more competitive as well.
Well, we had not planned on that.
Okay.
That was not, of course, everybody would like that.
Of course they would.
But, you know, we're preparing for the budget. We're trying to get our numbers and our facts in line. Everybody would like to be, everybody on that salary schedule was underwater. So you guys giving them the 3.5% helps for sure. For some of those hourly employees, all of the 6 that would be getting this, they're all the hourly employees. So that 6%, it's not a raise, it's not money in their hand, but it's money in their account for down the road. So that 6% adds significantly to those 6 employees that are hourly that were, you know, had a negative next to the number of, you know, percentage on the survey. So, you know, that's significant, that the survey in all of the positions, you know, being underwater. I think half of that is that we don't have MOUs and we don't have bargaining units that are asking for 10% and then they turn around and get 6%. You know, after year, that does add up, and it adds up significantly and adds up to our cost of our liability to CalPERS as well, whereas this does not.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I'd just like to say that working side by side with somebody who gets less benefits with you is kind of a, you know, because I had good benefits and because of my time, but I was getting better pay and then sometimes better benefits, and a new guy comes in with less benefits. I think it's not good for morale, and I think it just to have people kind of closer, and you can't get so much closer in pay without earning it, but to have the benefits and to keep the workforce happier, and I think it'd be better to and the people that we would be given to are people that are here and have been doing a good job, I think, too. I mean, I know that 6 people or 7 people. Is it 6?
6 right now, and
6
then we
right
have
now. But
one
those
that's
6
on
people
probation.
are working at a different, more or less a different pay rate, I think, than the people they're working side by side with.
Do they have to vest? Does it take so long to be vested?
Right, so they have to wait a year before they can even contribute. So our new employee that started in January, he can contribute next January. And then as far as your vesting goes, there's a 5-year vesting before you get that money, you know, back out.
The people that are vested would start in July, though, right? Or on
So they would start in yeah. So the 6, you know, that have been here for over a year, they would start in July. You know, with a 6% contribution from the city, and then whatever money they wanted to put in addition to that, they would already be available to put in. They'd still have to wait the timing to take that money out, they'd still have to be vested to remove that money. So it's a retention tool as well, to keep, good employees around.
The other thing that I didn't realize, but by not being Social Security, I went to apply for the Social Security just to see what I would get. And the only reason I would even get any was because I have a side job and work. But otherwise I wouldn't have had that benefit. And I couldn't imagine going after work until you're 65 and not being able to get Social Securities, which I don't know how that's going to happen with the employees we have now further in.
Are you in CalPERS?
Yeah, I'm in CalPERS.
Good luck in collecting that Social Security.
Yeah, that's what
I talked to them and they said, nope.
Yeah, no.
Windfall Act by
Well,
the
that's
state.
another thing. So when you're in Social Security and you go to get your CalPERS, because there's a relationship with CalPERS and Social Security, you get that CalPERS check and there's a windfall provision that decreases the amount of Social Security you're going to get.
To zero.
And no,
According
well,
to Social Security when I called them.
yeah, and I think it depends on how many quarters you have in with Social Security, so every person's calculation is going to be different with that.
They told me zero.
Yeah, did you, yeah.
I'll see you about it later. Are all these 6 employees on they're all CalPERS employees, correct?
Yes, so retirement, totally separate, retirement with CalPERS over here, monthly check, every at first of the month you get a check. DCP is like a 457 or a 451 account, so it's basically, your 401k. And the DC, or the 457 just allows you to take money out when you retire without penalty before 62. So, a little bit better program.
And the other thing that they can put more if they want to put more than the 6%, because that's always been an option.
The employee can.
The employee can put more in if they can.
It's the matching part that causes
we wouldn't be
confusion.
I got one more item when you're done.
As of 2019, employees can put up to $19,000. If you're over 50, you can do a catch-up amount, which goes up to $25,000 if you want to put in.
I'm for it. I've been lucky enough to have 2 jobs where you do have that benefit, plus the matching, and when both jobs closed, it's still just sitting there, and then you can roll them over to different accounts, and then it just keeps adding up. So it's a good retention benefit, and I mean, we were getting employees who were in the horse business that are grooms who don't get a lot of money up front. But we convinced them that if you were to stay with us, and if you can keep a good groom for 5 years, you're really lucky. And we were able to keep over 75% of our grooms for the 10 years that we were there at Crescent Farm.
Right.
And it's a great benefit, and I think it's fair.
Is that a motion then?
I'd make a motion to accept that, as stated.
I'd second it.
Oh, no, excuse me, Dave.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I had one more question before
Before we take it, we've got a motion and a second, but please ask your question.
Okay, so there's no program in the known universe where the city could contribute a percentage and the employee can also contribute the same or lesser. Somebody says, I want to put in 2% of my check, we can match that with 2%. They can go 3, we'll match that 3. So there's no plan in the known universe where we can do that.
Well, I would imagine you probably could do a 2-tiered. That you would be talking a 2-tiered because, for instance, Mark's been here for 13, 15 years. The city puts in 6% for him, and he puts in maybe 20%. I don't know what he puts in. And so that works for him. So you're talking about what if we did 2% for the new employees, and then if the city puts in 2, then the employee has to put in 2 as well.
Correct.
That's available, but what we indicated, that is an accounting issue, because it just will take time, because every time somebody's pay changes, the percentages change, so that it has to be recalculated. So it can be done, it's just takes time to do it, that's all.
And it also provides, like Councilmember Sanchez was saying, it provides an inequity, right? So you're working next to somebody and one person has this and the other person has this. So really it creates some amount of issues, as well as those new employees as of January 13 are also paying their own percentage of CalPERS. That we cannot change. There's nothing we can do about that.
So they're already going to be putting in 6.5%.
And goes to 7.25 on July 1.
But everybody in the city's paying that, including salaried employees.
Are you talking about the CalPERS now?
Correct.
No. So us classic employees who have been here prior to January 13, the city is paying both portions, the employer portion and the employee portion of CalPERS. That's the way it was set up originally. That's our contract with CalPERS. And then they came along and decided we're going to change the law and create PEPRA employees, so the new employees that were hired after January of 13, like even Andrea, even though she's a department head, has to pay her own portion of CalPERS. City's paying the employer portion, she has to pay her employee portion.
And you guys had both of those paid
We
by the
did
city.
because we are ancient and have been here a long time.
Yeah, and that's the state trying to reduce the liability for the new employees moving forward.
That's fair. I understand that.
And
Right.
so we're just trying to get a little more equity by putting that 6% back in on the deferred comp that we have control over.
And PEPRA changed a lot of things. So, you know, we have 2% at 55, so we can effectively retire at 55 with 2%. These new employees after January 13 are 2% at 62. So they're making you work longer. People are living longer. You know, all of that has changed. So the actuaries have all changed for the new hires, the new employers.
So this is basically bringing them to parity with you.
It is, as far as the deferred comp, but more than that, it's not really just the equity, which is important, but it's providing that percentage because they're not getting the Social Security, the in lieu of the Social Security that probably should never been taken away, but it was one of those things when we were deep into the recession. How long are we going to be in the recession? You know, we didn't know if it was going to last a year or going to go on for another 20 years. So let's do what we can to mitigate, you know, our costs right now and see where this goes. It's kind of like, are we going to get rain next year? We don't know. Yeah.
One last question, I'll shut up. What is the city's contribution to your CalPERS and Mark's CalPERS now?
6%.
6%, okay.
And it will never be more than 6% unless we've modified the contract with the agency we have the DCP with. It will never be more than 6%. I could put in 6% more, which most people, you know, as they age in their years of employment, they'd be smart to put in more, you know. So I can put in up to, at this point, up to $25,000 if I wanted to. And that decreases back the 6% that the city puts in. But that's so.
The new employees do notice this. I mean, they.
Oh, I think so. Because when you're working next to somebody who's get hired later and they're they don't, you know, they're one's getting 6%, even at the same pay, gets 6% more because they got here first, you know, and then they're gonna decide to go because they go to go to something else. I mean, I think they won't. I don't think they'll stay because everybody's looking at other salaries and other places to work all the time.
Especially when the unemployment rate is so low, people are looking around. They're looking to see who's got what and where. How can I, you know, move around and get this or get that? But if our benefit package is so good, they're probably not going to jump. And Don Kircher told me a long time ago, prior city attorney, think long and hard before you leave this benefit package because you're not going to find another one like it. Our benefits are good, and people stay for that reason.
And evidenced by Councilmember Sanchez and other
36
employees
years.
that are here for a long period because they're taken care of and they appreciate the benefit package.
Okay, so we've had a motion and a second. Any other questions? All righty, Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, on behalf of all of the
That was good
employees.
convincing. I came in not so sure about that one.
I know,
Thank you
I know.
for
And
that.
And
it's,
that's why we had the discussion.
That's
and
why we
really
have
good.
discussions.
yeah, and there's a lot to it, and there's a lot to understand with the
That's
history.
what we're
but-
supposed to have here, right?
Well, we
Yeah.
did today, and I
But it's
think I
important.
didn't know that was doing it, I didn't realize.
Thank you.
Yeah? Okay,
For the government one,
city manager, try living with the man who does better than
Okay,
you do.
and I would like to compliment our motor deputy, Jose Alvarez, as well. I watch him every day zooming past my office with his lights on and pulling over the people, and they're still speeding. They're still going fast, and they're not learning, but he's trying to educate them. So, and as I mentioned to you in my report, I think a few weeks ago, he's getting a wireless communication system, so he doesn't have to keep unplugging. It's a little safer for him, so he doesn't have to look down to unplug when somebody's doing something to him out of the vehicle. So I want to compliment to Jose and Eddie for their traffic enforcement in the city. It is much appreciated.
Is there a stat coming? Because we used to get
Yes.
that regularly.
I think on
know
my
you
last
told me.
ones, I gave you how much he's
Yeah.
done. He's done more citations in this 3 months than they did last year at this time. So we got all of those stats, and we'll continue to provide those to you.
I think it's great because he's not just hanging out at one place. He's
No,
everywhere.
he's all over the place. And
Did he give you stats?
yes, he did. Yeah, and he's got a new uniform that the police foundation paid for, so it's padded uniform. So he's bulked up too. So
Good.
so it's not his muscles; it's just his padding. And I'll bring up the Easter extravaganza again on the 20th. But please, please be careful. Valley Gardener's staff member was bit by a rattlesnake out at the park today. So,
Do we have any liability on anything like that?
Yeah,
We just have to post signs.
Snake's gotten a
yeah,
citation.
I think we posted signs out there regarding that. So just be careful. It's spring, the
Are
rattlesnakes
they
and
still
everything
doing
else
the
is out.
adult hunt out in the bushes then?
Yeah, we'll
You're
just-
still
yeah,
going
just-
to do that this year?
Just have to wear boots.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's beer there, they won't.
And
I'm glad I don't know.
I forwarded, the Hampton Inn has received the Circle of Excellence for Hampton Inn for the first 3 quarters of 2018. They are in the top 10% of the Hampton Inn brands worldwide. So Buellton's Hampton Inn is in the top 10% of all Hampton Inns in the world for their excellence. So
For excellence by most rooms ranked?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out more. It's a Circle of Excellence, and that they post.
Sure
but-
sounds good, though.
So that
I
they're
think they invested in the area, though. It's a gorgeous facility. I mean, you can sit there and fall asleep.
and I can tell you, I stayed there when my house was being tented. So I stayed at the Hampton and can verify that they're really good
First
service.
class. I
Really
think
nice
they-
there.
I think that he's a great owner.
In the last item on the next meeting, we will have 2 red curb discussions. We'll bring Councilmember Sanchez's one forward, plus the one along North McMurray Ward where the trucks are. So we can have discussions of both of those, whether to keep or add red curbs along the McMurray Road corridor.
I was looking at that, and I'd like to bring into discussion and see if it's room to put diagonal parking at the Hampton Inn. Because the Hampton Inn has you could probably put 20 cars
Why
there.
did we have that really long right turn lane?
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary, but that's.
I mean,
We'll take a look
I
at it
know
and
a
get
lot
back
of
to the
people go
council on
there,
that.
but I
What are we
didn't know
talking
that
about?
we needed that big of a turnout
Oh,
to,
yeah, right.
to handle people making turns into the parking lot.
We have that area that area was dedicated to the city as part of that development. So the right-hand lane was turned into there because we also anticipated the commons being built.
Yeah,
And that's all
continue that
being
straight.
accessed off of that driveway for the Hampton Inn. So that was going to be a point of major intersection.
The diagonal sounds like a good idea because you get more cars.
I'd like to maybe have a ad hoc committee or something to really, because I had another idea. There's a place on Avenue of Flags I park my tow truck in 4 different positions. Before you get to Ellen's Pancake House, I parked right outside of the bike lane, and it wasn't in the way, and I backed it up to see if it would fit. And there's actually room to park a semi, or I'm thinking of RVs with towing a boat or something like that, where they could have a short parking between the street and the curb.
We can bring an item back at a future date, but that kind of is not where the Avenue Flag specific plan was moving forward, and that's why we're trying to find other parking spaces for those types of vehicles. But we can put that as an agenda item in the future.
Okay, but if there's room for, for commerce, that people are going to stop for dinner. You get a motorhome full of people to stop there, you sold 10 dinners.
Okay, that is the end of my report.
All righty. Mr. Murphy.
Madam Mayor and City Council, we will now adjourn into closed session for one item. Public employee appointment of the city manager is set forth more fully in the agenda. Thank you.